You're listening to Fandoms. I'm your host, Brody Otway. Join me as I interview a guest about anything from unicorns to Mistborn.
Fandoms here, we share the love. Every topic you're dreaming of. Join the chat, let's fan away. This is Fandoms, come and stay.
Today on the show, we have the honor of talking to someone whose work I'm a huge fan of, Eric from the 17th Shard podcast and the Coppermind. So many of us have him and his friends to thank for all of our amazing Cosmere rabbit hole deep dives. So yeah, Eric, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. So glad to assist with the crazy deep dives into the Cosmere. So I'm Eric. I am one of the co-founders of 17shard.com, the Brandon Sanderson fan site. Wow. It's easy for me to go in host mode. I've hosted so many. But we do a lot of Brandon Sanderson stuff. We also run the Coppermind Wiki, which if you know of Brandon Sanderson at all, you've probably been there. Gets a lot better analytics than 17shard.com, let me tell you. And yeah, and so we run the YouTube channel 17 Shard, and we have a show called Shardcast, as he said, and it is crazy that anyone listens to such niche content because it's really niche. It's very, very in-depth.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like there's been so many things where you guys have picked out such little things that I completely glossed over in the books, and it has made doing rereads a lot more fun after like listening to people geek out so hard on the Cosmere that like me and a buddy are going to be doing our own Cosmere reread podcast, and like half the reason of it is like, man, like the Coppermind is such a great resource for looking up things that like mid episode we've had to take breaks and just been like, wait, we need to check the Coppermind, and then we're like, okay, we misremembered stuff really badly, and it's just such a great resource.
The Coppermind's imperfect because, you know, like when you get into the Cosmere stuff, those articles are so hard. Like my wife worked on the Shadesmar article, and she probably worked on it for 9 months. My wife and I met through the Coppermind. I mean,
That
like
is
off and
wild. Okay.
off and
Like,
on.
yeah.
But like you write it, like the citations, it's really in depth. So it takes a really long time. I keep saying I'll rewrite the Shard article, and I won't at this stage. It's been 10 years. That's not happening. But other people have worked on it. That's fine. But it's challenging.
How many times on average do you think you go through one of the books? Like, do you reread them tons of times, or are you guys going off mostly your memory from a like reread or two?
So I feel like I blinked and it changed from 2020 to 2025, and I don't know where things happened. And like Rhythm of War just came out, right? Right, guys? But no, we have the next Stormlight book in addition to all the other Brandon Sanderson books that came out in the last 5 years, which there's been a lot of. And no, see, here's the thing. I don't remember the new books very well. It goes out really fast, whereas the earlier stuff, like the first Mistborn trilogy, Elantris Warbreaker, I'm ready to go. I'm always ready to talk about, like on our Who's That Cosmere Character game that we do at the end of our episode, like Ridger, Vivenna's brother. We all remember Ridger. No one remembers Ridger, but we'll do that all the time. Whereas like a Tress character, oh man, if it's not like one of three specific characters, I'm screwed. I'm totally screwed. So no, I reread things at this stage for if I'm recording an episode and I have to, right? Or I reread it. Actually, no, it's just for research. I was trying to think of another thing, but no, it's usually just for research for the show or for like Wind and Truth, but I didn't even have time to do my Stormlight reread for that. So, okay. But the thing is Brandon puts out so much stuff that, and we're in a very privileged fandom to just have a machine of an author. You'll never run out of content. You'll have like 2 books a year. Now we're going to have a bit of a Cosmere hiatus for a bit, but I don't know. You'll be fine. And I don't know. It's just a lot of reading to do. One other thing I should mention is that I am a beta reader for Brandon Sanderson. So in addition, new books are also kind of work. that I have to do because giving feedback, and I'm also one of the arcanists who try and keep track of all of the Cosmere magic stuffs. We're a particular continuity team that does that. That a few other shardcasters who we get so in the weeds, guys, so in the weeds. Like, what does this mean? Does this make sense?
That must be so hard with the beta reading because, like, some things you're probably trying not to read into too much because you're not sure if it's meant to be how it's really phrased there. Probably a lot of how much changes, like, is it like a huge night and day difference from like beta reading to like the final product?
Actually, no. I would say Brandon doesn't do huge systemic rewrites. Like he's talked about a few, like for Cytonic, the third Skyward book, he did some pretty heavy rewrites for that. But for the most part, like something like Oathbringer, like the structure was basically the same. And there were changes, there are some added scenes, there's like tightening. One of the main things that happens from beta to the final draft is Brandon does his like 10% cut. And so that really makes the prose zip a lot more. So the beta read, we can't really talk about prose because it's like an earlier draft, and Brandon's going to tighten up a lot of the language later. Just don't get on my case about Wind and Truth's language, guys. It's hard to do in the beta because we're focused on so many things.
Yeah,
We'll
definitely.
talk about that later. Don't worry. But a lot of the time, at least from the Arcanist side, it's talking about like, okay, like, does this make sense in the context of these other things? And we're trying to read Brandon's mind as to the intent of what he's talking about. Because Brandon's a busy guy. He can't just like answer our questions if it makes sense. And we're also trying to predict the future that's like, hey, if you canonize this, this could be like, just make sure you're aware that this is kind of a big deal if you do that. And so we sometimes get some feedback from Brandon, but it's pretty rare.
That's awesome. So, to get back into the basics here,
Yes,
for any
absolutely.
listeners who have no clue, what exactly is the Cosmere?
I would love to talk about the Cosmere. I mean, that's why I'm on. But the Cosmere is Brandon Sanderson's connected universe. So all of his adult fantasy novels, basically, and some YA, they're all in this big connected setting. The ones you'd probably recognize if you're listening to the show and you haven't read his books, you've probably heard of Mistborn or the
That was
Stormlight
where I started.
Archive. There's others as well. They have a similar mythology and a common world building, like connected magic system. And there's some characters that go across the stories and things that if you are a sharp reader, you'll pick out. One way you can know if it's a Cosmere book or not is if it references Earth, it's not a Cosmere book. So usually the things that aren't Earth and they're the adult fantasy published by Tor. Those are the Cosmere books. I'd say like in the early books, the Cosmere was really in the background, and so you didn't really need to worry about it. I still don't think you really need to worry about it. Ultimately, like you don't need to pick up on these clues as you go along. It can be fun to notice, like, oh, hey, it's that thing from that other thing. But I think the Brandon Sanderson fandom gets kind of in this zone that you have to read things in a particular order or you're not going to get all the connections and that's going to make the book less enjoyable. And I just don't think that's necessarily the case. And for The Lost Metal, Brandon had someone appear from a world that its book doesn't exist. And so it's just like, okay, here's some guy with some magic, and you're not missing anything there. He'll just do that sometimes. And
Yeah.
that's okay. My wife, for one, read something out of order and was like, oh, so this thing that I know about from this book is from this other thing. And so it was like, oh, this is a fun prequel story as opposed to a more natural reveal. Because there's a thing in Stormlight. If you've read Stormlight and Words of Radiance, you know what I'm
Oh
talking about.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's the Warbreaker references, I experienced Warbreaker after like Stormlight 3, I
Yeah.
think. I was waiting for Rhythm of War and I decided to check out Warbreaker and I was like, "Oh my god, the connections, like it made Warbreaker definitely a little bit better for me as a book where like I liked the characters and like I found the ending a bit blah for me, but the connections really made it.
Warbreaker does have an interesting ending that is a
Yeah.
little divisive. That's for sure.
It
Yeah, that's not
just kind of
surprising.
sudden for me.
It's
I was
really
like,
sudden. That one's
whoa.
really sudden.
Yeah, so I originally read Mistborn first. I had no
Yes.
idea it was part of an interconnected thing. And then I actually started Stormlight and was like,
Okay.
wait, this is by Brandon Sanderson. And I Googled it and I learned about the Cosmere. I was like, they're connected. I was like, okay, now I'm deep into this Stormlight book.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that was kind of where I learned about the broader Cosmere. How did you first get into the Cosmere? Which story did you start with?
I think it was about 2006 or so. And I picked up Elantris randomly from an airport bookstore, the Elantris paperback. I'm a sucker for stories with competing viewpoint characters. Even when I was a teenager, I'm like, I love that. And Elantris, the back cover, like having the 3 POVs, that's cool. The cover quote of Orson Scott Card, I had not even read an Orson Scott Card book, but I knew that that was like a big name at the time. And so I'm like, oh, cool, I'll pick this up. Loved Elantris. So on the plane, I tore through Elantris. And fun story, at the end, there was a preview for Mistborn. And when I got to the end of Elantris, I was like, wait, this isn't more Elantris. I want an Elantris sequel. I am not even interested in Mistborn. And I didn't read the preview for Mistborn. And so I didn't even read it. And then I kept the paperback, of course, and just was like, okay, just let that sit. And then later, I'm in a bookstore. A few years later, Well of Ascension had come out in hardcover, but it was before Hero of Ages. And I'm like, oh, I really enjoyed Elantris. Oh, there's 2 more books of Mistborn, and I bought Mistborn and Well of Ascension. Really liked Mistborn. Really liked Well of Ascension. And then I got onto Brandon's forums at the time and started theorizing about Hero of Ages. And now here I am. That's the story.
That's crazy. I didn't realize you started way at the beginning. That's funny that you skipped Mistborn, though. I literally found it by Googling cool magic systems because I was like,
Sure.
I'm getting a little sick of just everything being solved by magic, no rules. And then I read the description for Mistborn and I couldn't picture it. I was like, people taking chunks of metal and like, how the fuck do they chew it? And
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
sounds
what?
insane.
And then you get into it and it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. I was like, they're shooting coins like bullets. And I was like, what? I was like, this is great. And then Vin as a character and Kelsier as a character, I was just like, okay, I have to see where this goes.
Yeah, I'm a math professor as my day job, so I like an internal logic to things, as you might imagine. So Elantris was absolutely my jam. I love that, and like I got to Mistborn eventually, but yeah, I did like not read it for like a year, which was very funny in retrospect, considering where I am now. But yeah, I really like the world building and like the rules for Magic. I think because of Brandon's popularity, I think there's a bit of a backlash to rule-based Magic systems, and that's fair. Like people can have different tastes. That totally makes sense. I do really like the magical mystery and like that being really relevant to the plot. And Brandon's usually quite good at foreshadowing, so you can pick things up. Like, I think one thing people would say with Hero of Ages, like the end of the first Mistborn trilogy, is the foreshadowing is just really good. Like you can pick it up as you go along. And I mean, even when we were theorizing for like a whole year before Hero of Ages, it was just so gratifying to get some things right and get some things very wrong. Super fun. And so I love that. Other things I like about Brandon stuff is just his endings really kick ass.
Oh, so
Just
much.
the Brandon Avalanche or the Sanderlanche is just amazing. They can just be some of the best things ever. Even if sometimes the middles can be, a little, we're just kind of doing things, but the endings can be like, all is forgiven. I love it. We're doing great.
Oh, the endings are so fast and so much happening, and it's like you couldn't get to that without all of the buildup. Otherwise, it would just feel like a montage of things going by. And so
Yeah.
it's just this masterwork of everything that he's slowly built up, just crashing down. And Sanderlanche has always been, I'm like, it's the perfect perfect name for it because it's all that buildup finally
Mhm.
crashing down on you and everything clicking in and all the pieces coming together and or in Stormlight's case, more questions coming up sometimes, and it's amazing.
I didn't really mind the open-endedness for Wind and Truth. It was about where I expected it to be. I can see why someone would not like the open-endedness of Wind and Truth, but I do feel this is a very reasonable end to an arc of Stormlight. So some people definitely think it's so open-ended that I was promised an ending to an arc and I did not get that. And I think that's really understandable, honestly.
I
But
feel like it's a really good midpoint, honestly. Like it's kind of what I expected. I don't know if it's because like Star Wars was my real
mm,
introduction to like dissecting storytelling and like it felt like an Empire Strike Back ending where like it's the end, but like it's open-ended. Like the Empire is they haven't won, but they have the advantage and everything looks bleak for the heroes because this is the midpoint of a 10 book arc. Like it's still got to go somewhere. The heroes can't just have happily ever after and how unsatisfying would it be for them to defeat Odium at this point and then some new guy just sweep in and it all be going again.
yeah, I likened it to Empire Strikes Back as well, though some YouTube comments had a really good point that it's more Revenge of the Sith, really, in a way, where everything goes bad, and then it's like, well, we got to pick up the pieces after a time jump. And I'm like, okay, that's maybe a better comparison where,
Yeah, I could
I don't
see
know, like,
that.
I feel like we satisfied the things that we needed to satisfy with like the contest and things, and at least the main characters we've gone through some big arcs. I'm satisfied in that respect, but I can totally understand someone not liking the open-endedness.
Yeah, it's definitely. I could see where some people could have problems with it. Like, it's not a finite ending like a lot of people expected. And I don't really get that reasoning, though.
I think part of it's just that like it's going to be a long time to book six, and so I think that the problems are kind of compounded. Where like I was promised a definitive ending. I feel like I need more right now, and that fair. I'm very interested to see book six. That's going to be really tight. So you know, I think that's all understandable.
I can't say one of the first things out of my mouth to my partner at the time wasn't like, I was like, I have to wait 6 years to figure out where this is going to go. And she's like, that long? I was like, yeah. I was like, there's going to be a lot in between, like side projects and everything else, but like 6 years till the next book in this series. And she's just like,
Yeah,
that sucks. I was like, I know, but like, there's so much to stew on too. Like, I don't know if
yeah.
this book gave me 6 years where like it's not like
No, it didn't.
Rhythm of War where it's like I felt like I had a lot to think about leading up to this book and
Yeah, it's not the same as that for sure.
the discussion's just not there as strong. And I feel like that's what a
No.
lot of fans are kind of angry about too. And some of them just don't know how to vocalize their proper complaints. I see it a lot online a lot. They're upset about one thing, they don't really understand why they're upset. So they find problems where they can and they become real extra passionate about those ones.
Uh, I somewhat agree. I think people had some very reasonable issues.
Oh, yeah, definitely not saying people didn't have reasonable issues, but like sometimes it becomes an echo chamber where like some people will be a little bit upset about the book. They get online, they see everyone else's opinions, and it kind of snowballs.
I do think there's less people interested in talking about Wind and Truth, though. That I think
Yeah.
that's true. I think that's pretty natural, though. Like the difference between anticipating a final book versus waiting for kind of a new thing. Like, how much discussion can you have for Ghost Bloods one, right? Era 3, book one. Like I'm
Yeah.
waiting for the next thing, right? And it's not quite the same with Stormlight, but it's more like that than not.
Yeah, the only real stuff like we fans have kind of theorized Kelsier into the dirt at this point. It's like there's not a whole lot of stuff left for us to pick at for Ghost Bloods and stuff. So I see what you mean.
I'm very excited for Ghost
I
Floods. I
am
think it's going to
so
be
excited.
great. I think it's going to be
So
really
excited.
good.
So, have you ever had any negative experiences with another Cosmere fan?
Well, okay. So, yes, in that I run a website and fan community on the internet, and that some people on the internet are not nice. I do think 17 Shard is a very nice place to be, one of the nicer places on the internet. But, you always see, some people who want it to be more like Twitter, X, whatever, where they just want to be a jerk and they don't care, and we just ban people like that. But
Yeah.
everyone in person I've met has been super lovely. Of course, if I go to Nexus, people like recognize my voice, so it's not I don't have the average fan experience anymore, for sure. But I don't know, everyone's just been really nice in person. We're awkward nerds, so we have that to bond over. So is the conversation slightly stilted sometimes? Absolutely. I find that I'm kind of stilted in person too. So, that's fine. But there's always some interesting stories about moderating a community where it's like, oh, that person, oh, I remember that person. But maybe I don't need to go into details, although the ones I'm thinking of were like over 10 years ago. So I don't know if that one person's so bitter still, maybe.
You don't use names. It's not really. If it can't. Who's it gonna hurt?
Well, I mean, there was a person who ended up being a middle-aged realtor who was just like, it's just the internet. And I'm like, why are you using your work email to register for the site? I'm like, yo, maybe you shouldn't do that. Like, maybe you can just make a burner email. Like, I'm just saying, this seems suboptimal.
See, that's usually what I find too. Is the angry, mean people are usually not the very smart people. Like,
Of course not.
usually
Of course
an
not.
angry opinion is a stupid opinion a lot of the time, and like smart people are able to tell it's just the internet. Like, everybody's gonna have a take. Like, I've been on so many fan forums recently, and like honestly, Cosmere is like number one, the nicest fandom I've dealt with through all the shows. One of the
Mm.
worst. Like, I had like four solid people in it, and the rest were all mean as hell. Was King Killer Chronicle by Patrick
Well,
Rothfuss.
okay. Well, that's
And I get it. Like, I like the books too. You're angry about the third, but I'm not Patrick Rothfuss. I'm just looking for people who like the books. And you don't gotta be you're in that Reddit because you liked that book at one point, and now you're hating on
true.
people for liking the book. And it's like, that's what I don't get.
If you're in the King Killer fandom, you're self-selecting. Like, I think so many people are just like not interested, and so you're not getting like you're just getting the people who are like either ultra fans or ultra bitter or both. Like that. Those are the only people who are gonna like specifically seek out to talk about King Killer. So to be
Yeah.
honest, totally makes sense. I think the thing with Cosmere though is that we have so much new content all the time that you just don't get to stew in that bitterness, even if there's some with Wind and Truth, right? There's going to be another book next year. Well, I mean, I guess we don't know what's happening next year, but
Right? Like, Isles of Emberdark is awesome so far. I'm halfway through it now, and I'm loving it.
yeah. There's Brandon's a writing machine, taking vacations from writing to write other books. So I don't know. There's gonna be things. There's no way there's not going to be things. I don't know what it would be, but he'll have something. Maybe he'll write Horn Eater and stuff. But I don't think we're gonna need to wait long. We'll blink and it'll be 2028 and Ghost Bloods will be out. So we don't have to worry about that.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait for that book. Like, Mistborn Era 2 was such a treat for me. I had no idea it was coming out at all.
Oh, that's fun.
So
That's very
it
fun.
was 2 books in when I realized that it was out, because I had just finished, I think it was Oathbringer.
Sure.
And I was like, I need more Sanderson. I was like, all right, let's go to Elantris and Warbreaker. And then I was like, oh wait, Mistborn Era 2. I was like, Cowboys and Allomancy. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, no. I was like, I have to check this out. And like, I really enjoyed it. I was kind of surprised to find out that it wasn't planned, that he just kind of did it on a whim.
Yes, it is crazy. I can only imagine the craziness that would be if you just went to Hero of Ages to Ghost Bloods 1. I think we're all going to think of it as, yes, this is all planned, but that's because he changes his ideas now that he has, Era 2 in.
Yeah, and like I'm doing a reread podcast with my buddy there of Mistborn right now, and
Yeah.
it literally, like, I completely forgot until I was going through that Wax is Breeze's ancestor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, man, like
Mhm.
the little connections he does are so nice. Like it's
You don't remember the Mistborn noble house names off the top of your head? That would be so, who would ever? That would definitely not be me to name the noble houses.
that's
That'd be silly.
that's why I remembered it. Like I remember he mentions Breeze briefly in the books, and then I was like, oh yeah, they mentioned that too. I was like, God, I was like, how could I forget that? Because yeah, no, Breeze is one of my favorites from Arrow One.
Breeze is good. Breeze is good.
Who's your favorite member of the crew? Just for the record.
And I can't choose like Kelsier.
Yeah, other than Cal.
Okay. Man, I haven't thought about these guys for a long time. It's been a hot bit since I reread Era 1.
I went in saying Ham, and then like going through, I was like, no, so far Breeze.
Breeze is pretty good. Doxon, I liked his death. I thought that was really well done, but he was kind of obnoxious in Well of Ascension, understandably so. Justifiably
Yeah,
so.
he's so I like the narration for him stuff makes him so much extra likable in the audiobook too. Like I love the voice he does for Dox.
Okay. I think probably am, but I haven't thought about this in a long time. Well, a lot of the side characters in early Brandon stuff are more sketchy, like in that they are more of a sketch than fully realized people. So it's a little tough.
Yes, everyone other than like Vin, Kelsier, kind of Elend, they're all
Elend,
kind of
yeah.
just
Yeah.
more tropes with a bit of flavor.
I think Breeze having that arc in Well of Ascension and just like being a coward, I did really like that. I thought that was actually really well done.
Yes, I think that's where Breeze started becoming my favorite overall, and
Yeah.
I was reminded about all of that through this reread. It's fun going through and with all the prior knowledge. This is my first like big reread, so it's been cool.
For sure.
So yeah, what made you decide to start making content on the Cosmere on top of just the Coppermind forum?
Oh well, good sir. 17 Shard came first, and then there's the Coppermind.
Yes.
But they did come. They did come by very very soon after each other. And the Coppermind is the most popular of our websites for sure, easily. But ultimately, there are not very many websites these days, right? Like things are in these big media apps or websites like Facebook for a long time, although who goes there anymore? Reddit usually is where a lot of communities are. Discord, right? I mean, we do have a big Discord server, but ultimately, we knew dedicated forums, they were kind of dying even when we started in 2010, be totally honest. So like we wanted to, even as early as 2012, to start making content. Took 5 years to figure out how to do that kind of properly. But we knew that ultimately we would become completely irrelevant if we weren't giving back to the community. And so by making content, being excited about the Cosmere, that gives people an entry point to our community. And we get people all the time saying, yeah, I joined because of, the podcast and things. And so I think that's been really helpful in that respect. And, just a lot of people somehow want to listen to incredibly niche content. This is some of the most niche content on the internet. And so it's a miracle that there's thousands of views on these things.
Oh,
it's crazy.
It's awesome though. Like I love how long it is because like I work 12-hour days on my feet cleaning, and it's so deadly to be able to pop you guys in my ear and just like listen to you guys geek out about the Cosmere, and it just feels like hanging out with friends and geeking out, and like it's a lot of fun. Like you guys laugh, you guys argue. It's so much fun.
Some people do not quite understand that it is a show with a bunch of friends and that we will laugh understanding a thing, and that sometimes the audience does not understand that we are maybe gently teasing about a thing and is not actually a a big deal that we are playing it up because we find it funny.
Yeah.
Like, does Alex hate Kelsier as much? Like, yes, she has issues with Kelsier. Does she play it up a bit for laughs to be like, I'm going in rant mode? Of course. I do the
Yeah,
same
like
thing.
it's you got to be entertaining too. Like
You gotta be entertaining, yeah.
and you guys are. Like I love it. Like I love Kelsier and I love her I hate Kelsier moments. It's great. Like
I schedule her for those shows specifically
Yeah.
for that reason.
you can enjoy an opinion you don't agree with. Like it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Like you can laugh, people.
Yeah.
That's one thing I was really like. I had to listen to right wing radio on my drive home from work, and like my headphones died, and I pulled it out.
Okay.
And the guy driving the shuttle was listening to right wing radio, and they were
Oh,
like yelling
I
and
see.
arguing at each other and like calling each other names. And I was just like, this doesn't feel like a listening to two adults debate. It feels like I'm listening to two people like attack each other
Sure.
verbally, and like I was like, it feels like the comment section online. I was like, this is awkward and cringy. And it was at that point where I'm like, that's why it's like I think that's why I like content like your guys, where it's like you're presenting it like you guys don't agree, you guys argue about it, but you guys laugh it off and just agree to disagree. And it's like you're watching grown-ups like talk about things, and it's nice. And that right-wing radio stuff has just been stuck in my head because I was just like, it was the worst like 2 hours of a drive
Yeah.
I've ever had.
Oof, that's rough for sure.
Yeah, so on to our final little section here to close things off. We're going to cover a couple 1-star or 3 1-star reviews here of a couple Brandon Sanderson books.
I want to talk about
Yeah.
book reviews. I think it's totally understandable to read 1-star reviews, and these people have totally legitimate critiques. And I think overall, I think we as a society, we can get better at hearing someone's opinion and be like, I understand that, but my rating's still this. I liked it though. Like you can just say that. You don't need to say, like, you don't need to go into a restaurant and if you and your friend get the meal and they didn't like it and you did, like, that's fine. That's fine. Who cares? But media, I feel like, is just perceived differently. That like if you really like a thing that I didn't like, then it's like, how dare you? This is an affront upon me. And I'm like, but this doesn't matter really. Like you can just like just like a thing, and another person can dislike that thing, and both of these are totally fine. This is not an attack on your character, and that's fine. But I think a lot of people they don't actually want honest reviews. They want reviews that validate their thoughts, and I understand that. And we had a lot of people with Wind and Truth who I think wanted their excitement to be validated. But like, I can't, if there's people who don't like Wind and Truth, I can't like make them lie and say that they really liked it when they didn't. I just can't do that.
I hope everyone listening to the show gets the joke at this point that we don't choose 1 to 3-star reviews in order to promote negativity. Fandoms is all about celebrating fandoms, celebrating what you love. We're taking the piss out of these reviews. We find the funny reviews and not the ones we take seriously. This is more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so all right, cool. So, all right, so we're doing a good time.
The 3-star reviews are ones we tend to treat more seriously because a 3-star review tends to have some positive, negative criticism.
Yeah. It's like, I liked it, but I'm really disappointed.
When we read a 2 and 1-star review, we're not taking it seriously. We're taking the piss out of them.
I do love a good rant though. So if like there's a 1-star review that has a huge rant, I'm like, this is really entertaining. So
yeah. Sometimes they get a little wild. This one I found just because I did not enjoy this scene, but I definitely would not think it would bring the book down to 1 star if this is their only opinion.
Okay. All right. What have we got?
All right. So they throw some quotes in here.
Which book is this?
This is Wind and Truth, 1-star review by KJ. He has left 2 reviews before.
Great.
How? Ishar repeated. What are you? He gestured towards Zeth. Are you his spren? His god? No, Kaladin said. I'm his therapist. Oh,
Yep.
shut the fuck up. Stormlight Archive has always been a flawed series, but the drastic drop in quality in Wind in Truth is downright bizarre. This will be the last Stormlight book or Sanderson book I read. I am done. So
I've seen many YouTube comments like this. Many. People do not like that line.
I wasn't a fan of the line. It made me laugh out loud. Like I had to pause and stop and I laughed. I was like, okay, like I get it. It was funny to me, but to drop the entire Cosmere off that line, I don't get it.
Well, okay. So it's more that, right? I think it's talking about the prose issues that
Yeah.
this is just like the quintessential example of the prose issues in Wind and Truth. But you know, so I'll say that line not popular amongst beta readers. Let me tell you, not popular. But
So
I'm an enjoyer.
honestly, I would have made it friend. Like if I was like as corny as it is, I would have but no, I'm
Yeah,
his
that's not as
friend.
funny though.
It's not as funny. It's cornier and it's like it would have I think more people would have I don't know. Maybe it would have made it worse because it wouldn't have had the funniness to it.
Brandon has never had a goof that amused him that he didn't put in the book. Okay, I don't know that categorically, but it just feels like it sometimes with people like Wayne and like his humor characters. I feel like maybe he could tighten those up sometimes. And so like he found it funny, and I think he's trying to lighten the mood, and you know what? It worked for me. I don't care if it's stupid. I find it really funny. Maybe that's my humor. So I do get this one.
If it's supposed to be like, I think it was the delivery where I was like, I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a gag or if it was supposed to be epic, and because like I don't know the audio. That's the downside to the audiobooks is like you kind of have
Sure.
to go with whatever the narrator delivers it with.
I see. Sure. Yeah, I found that really funny. But to be fair, I do think this one-star review does have a point. I'll say this is just the prime example.
All right.
It's not like they were going through and loved the book 100%, read that, and then went to a 0, right?
Yeah, and so our next review here is a 1-star for my favorite Stormlight book, Oathbringer.
Hell yeah. I love Oathbringer.
So this person, Luke Joseph, please attend therapy after this first line because this is why I picked this one. It was so bad, I want to make someone else feel bad. Here's the problem with world building fiction. At some point, the world is built, and all that becomes clear is that the author can't write dialogue, lurches back and forth between a too much too contemporary and too much too affected tone, and is not funny. He writes clever characters and gritty scenes if you think a Mormon would. This guy needs to use punctuation. It is so hard to read. In prior books, I could grit through how awful all that was because our little stripling warrior had some depth. In this book, Cal's gone full Mary Sue, vacillating across the emotional chasm of being loved by everyone and being right all the time, and even complete with a very special episode of Stormlight Archives where we all learn about tolerance.
Oh, yes.
The conclusion
Yes.
is cartoonishly bad Darth Odium might as well be called Phantom Menace. That's it.
Okay. Interesting. So obviously the learning about tolerance is the part where Kaladin does not understand gay people. It is just being an idiot. Personally, I love Kaladin being a moron sometimes. It's very fun for me. But okay, sure. But yeah. I don't know. I didn't find Race cartoonishly evil. I thought he was good. I thought he was really good in Oathbringer. But the amount of extra world building that happened in Oathbringer, it did really expand out the world a lot. So that's fair. But, Brandon certainly can write, dialogue, and it can be a little stilted sometimes. His humorous characters are divisive, famously. I'm surprised he didn't mention Shallan.
Right?
Like, that's crazy to me. Like, I mean, that's obviously the character he's referring to with the funny characters, right? Not that Shallan's particularly funny in Oathbringer.
Right? Like I for some reason I assumed Wit, but yeah, you're right. He probably was including Shallan.
No,
Yeah.
it's Shallan for sure. Shallan's always been a divisive character, and I think always will. I don't know where he's doing with Shallan. I'll be totally honest.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where he's going. Like I've never really hated her humor. I've kind of always loved a little bit of so dumb it's not like it's so not funny that it's kind of funny humor.
Mm,
So like I don't know, she's definitely not she misses more than she hits with me for sure, but like
yeah,
sometimes I like to see
yeah.
a character like that miss. Like I think I'd enjoy it a bit more if like characters around her kind of like didn't find it funny or and stuff. Like
I think that's the thing, that if you're reading it and you have the reactions like, oh, cringe, bad, and then like other characters do not have that reaction, then you're like, oh, I don't know if the author knows that this was actually not good. But, you know, humor is very variable.
oh
I
right.
don't know if Brandon's humor is a strong point.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be. It's not the focal point of these books. It's the
Yeah, yeah. We got one more.
Yeah, so our last one here, I let you choose the book. We chose Final Empire, Mistborn Book 1,
We can't have it all just be Stormlight.
of course. And so it is from Jeff Sebasta. 1-star review. It was when the thief and the mage pulled out a whiteboard and started drawing a flowchart of how to conquer the fantasy kingdom that I realized, wait, I'm just reading some sad bastards D&D campaign. I am not sure what purpose fiction serves, but I'm positive this is not it.
That's pretty funny, actually.
That's where I try and go with these. I try and find the funny ones.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm too used to reading YouTube comments and trying to be like, okay, there's a point, even if this is maybe not stated great. But yeah, Brandon's going for the heist theme. I don't think it was a whiteboard. I think it was a chalkboard. They didn't have dry erase pens in the Final Empire.
Right? It kind of threw me off for a second the second time around when I was rereading it. And he's like, Kelsey held up the chalkboard. I was like, wait, what? And I was like, oh, yeah, that did happen, didn't it? I was like,
yeah, no, that totally happened. Yeah, that 100% happened. Yeah, that's funny. That's very funny. I like that a lot, but I don't know, maybe I'm just too used to my current DM stealing stuff from his board that I'm like, silly, it goes the other way. What are you talking about? My DM is maybe one of the biggest Mistborn Era 1 fans on the planet.
That's
Maybe
awesome.
the biggest Mistborn Era 1 fan on the planet.
That's so deadly. I want to get the Cosmere RPG there so bad. I wasn't able to get the Kickstarter or anything, and
oh, the books are really nice. Mine just came. They're really good.
I'm so jealous. The lady who runs this game shop here I'm at got it and everything, and she's gonna show me all of her stuff. I'm so jealous.
It's very good. Oh, and the person I'm talking about, Matt, he's writing part of the Mistborn adventure for the Mistborn setting for that. So
that's so cool.
Yeah. So he's a very good writer, very good DM. He screws us over real good. But anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Was there anything you wanted to let everyone know before we get out of here? Anywhere they can find you other than YouTube and of course the Coppermind and 17th Shard?
Of course, you can find all sorts of Cosmere stuff on the Coppermind. You're probably familiar with it. And if you want to know about all the words of Brandon, that is on Arcanum, wob.coppermind.net. Which has how many words of Brandon are on here? We have 16,000 entries. So if you want to know all of the words of Brandon, this is for those of you who don't know, Brandon blabs in signings, and he did that for a long time. And he would just tell facts. And so we needed a way to organize this. And for a long time it was on Theoryland, which is a Wheel of Time fan site, and then we made another one, and you can play the audio. You'll hear the audio next to the thing. We made an entire open source software to do this.
That is so cool.
And so there's 16,000 entries there. So there you go.
That is wild. Yeah, my buddy who I'm doing our reread podcast with, he tends to handle the words of branding because when I seen how many there were, I was like, holy shnikey. But
You cannot possibly read them all. At this stage, the Coppermind, for like most pages, has a lot of the relevant words of Brandon. That was not always the case, but we've had a lot of people add a lot of the good stuff.
that's awesome. Yeah, Coppermines definitely come in handy. It was the other day, Mistborn chapter 17. I could not remember what happened in it for the life of me, even though I had just reread it. Went through, realized the
Yeah, the
Coppermind
summaries.
summary was also like 3 sentences. I was like, oh, that's why I don't remember. Barely anything happened. I was like, okay, thanks for having my back, Coppermine.
We could not do a reread podcast by chapter. Like we got bored so fast. So
We had to
kudos
do
to
it in
you.
we're doing it at 3 chapters per episode, basically. And like
Oh, this is exactly what we tried in Shardcast.
some of them we
2012.
are vamping. Like it is like I'm glad he notices a lot more things than I do, because there's been a lot of times where I'm just like, yeah, so like Vin woke up, she talked to Sazed, and we got some hints on Farrakemi, and then he's just like, yeah, did you notice this? Did you notice that? I'm like, clearly not, but yeah.
I cannot read a book that slow. Like if I'm either I am not reading book or I am in the phase where I'm trying to get into book and then I'm in the book and then I'm finishing it that same day. There's nothing else that happens to me. Like I
It's
cannot do it.
hard. It's hard, especially when you get like really into it. Like the Vin being chased by the Inquisitors scene. I was hooked again. I was like, man, this is so friggin' good.
Oh yeah, that's good.
But anyways, thanks a lot for coming on. It's been a blast. We'll put all of your links there in the episode description, and I hope everyone who is a fan of the Cosmere who wasn't familiar goes and checks you guys out.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime.
Fandoms here, we share the love.
Thank you, you wonderful person, for listening to Fandoms. If you enjoyed this, check out another Fancast Studio show like Hey Anime or Chaos Crucible. Also, if you'd like to be a guest, hit us up at pod.fandoms@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on any of our social medias. Links are in the description below. Thanks a lot for listening. Bye.